worked. I am going to ask one more person to briefly introduce herself and just say hi to everybody. She's the wonderful person who I met who had a vision very similar to mine to create this website. And she has a small team of developers that she's been working with and that I get to meet and get a little bit more activity with pretty soon. So Lori, if you want to just give a quick hi, where you live and what you're, what you want to do for the rest of your life.
Hi ladies, I'm Lori and I'm with the Buzz Group. We've been in business since 2006, and about 5 years ago we were approached by a Golden Retriever rescue here in Los Angeles where I am, and they needed a website. And in talking to the lady who ran that rescue, we learned that she really didn't have the ability to manage the dogs and the adopters and the other people in the rescue. About 6 months after that, a Golden Retriever rescue in Texas saw the site that we built here in LA, and they contacted us and said, could you build one for us? The lady who ran that rescue was just a delight to work with, and she showed me a lot of the business applications that she needed to use to run the rescue. So I learned a lot about rescue from her. And then a few months later, I was contacted by a National Cavalier group. And the lady who ran that group, her son designs databases for a living. And so we decided at that point that we were going to build software specifically for dog rescues. And we were going to incorporate everything that we could to try to manage 3 main goals for a rescue: to adopt out more dogs, to increase donations, and to amplify your message in your community. So everything that we've built for your rescue and in the software is designed to help you accomplish those 3 goals in the minimal amount of time that you can, so that you could get off the computer and back out with the dogs and networking with people. And so what you see here is a culmination of 5 years of trial and error and a huge learning curve for me. And Audra, I met earlier this year, and it was clear that Audra knew a lot of what we were trying to accomplish. So back in, I want to say April. Yeah, I'm thinking of a time when Audra received a few documents from us, and she said, hey, have you thought about this? And as a direct result of Audra's input, we ended up going back to ground zero for 2 months, and we revisited all of the fields on all of the forms and on the dogs. And we probably added or modified over 100 fields, because Audra brought to light a lot of things that we were lacking. So, I mean, a lot of what you are going to see in the back end is a direct result of Audra's input, which has become invaluable. So I'm thrilled to be working with Audra in particular, in your rescue in general. And our goal is to continue to build this platform. So we want your input. So if you see anything that you think, hey, you know, it might be neat if this was included, please let Audra know, and she can bring it to our attention, and then we can see how we can accommodate that.
Everybody should now see the screen that still looks the same, but it has the available dogs on it. So I'm just going to show you guys what this looks like to everybody else in the nation or the world that goes to www.rockymountaincockrescue.org. As you scroll down, this is what our Dogs for Adoption page is going to look like now. It's going to have the dog. You see right here, it says pending adoption. If they want to sponsor that dog and make a donation, there's a button there that they can click. The only information they're going to see on this screen is gender, age, and their activity level. How do we get to this? Well, let's go over to our back end. Let me get to the back end. So there's a front end and a back end. I don't know any other way to tell you guys what the difference is, except the front end is what anybody who does not have an account to log into the website, that's what they see. The back end is what all of you guys, plus me and the other volunteers who need access to the back end, what they're going to see. So the back end is really where you're going to input all of your data, get your reports, look to see who wants a female dog that's black. Was this dog rescued from Kansas or New Mexico, where the dog came from? So this is a quick overview. Now, I know you guys are going to have questions as we go along, but I'm just going to show you what things look like. Lori's going to show you some things that, actually, I think I have access to some of those things. So I think Lori and I are just going to play tag team as we go along this. But we're using Lori's site right now to look at what we have, because we don't have this information in our computer yet. That's why I'm doing this presentation tonight. I need your guys' help with putting people and dogs and everything into the database so that we can start using our website. So as you see right here, there's a dog named Lucy. The dog is available and featured. Well, a lot of us know that that's Mo. So let's just pretend that this was done in error. You click right here, and you're going to just delete the name that's there, and you're going to type in Mo. If you want to change what status, you click on the pencil, and let's say he's not available. He's not going to be our featured dog, but he is going to be recovery room. Now keep in mind, I said that there's going to be 4 statuses that we can use. The primary status is that they're available. They're in recovery room, which is very similar to the CCP. Happy tails means that they've been adopted, and over the bridge is obvious. So we're going to put Mo in the recovery room. I checked that box, and then up here at the very top, I'm going to click Save Dog. See, my cursor is not on it. When I put my cursor over it, it changes to the orange color. So you click on that. Now his name has changed, and now he's in the recovery room. So when we went back to the available dogs, that information on this screen would now be changed. It's not changed now because I'm using 2 different websites for this demonstration. This is where it's going to be important for you guys to look at the process and the flow of how we got the dog and what all activities happened with him while he was here. So right here it says that Mo entered the rescue on August 8th of 2019. It has his birthday. If we go to the history, it'll show all the history of this dog, the animal control number. He came from a local shelter. What day he arrived. Is he ready for adoption? That's no. When will he be ready? Maybe Suzette has a dog that's going to be spayed or have a dental, and we don't want him available for 3 or 4 days. Why not? Why is he not ready for adoption? Suzette can enter that information on here. Now, what's important is when you enter information on here and you click Save Dog, all of this information is immediate. So you no longer have to go to the IFA, and you don't have to call Carolyn, and you don't have to call Suzette or find out what's going on with the dog. As long as the person who's responsible puts the data in here, it'll be live and up to date for anybody and everybody. So if I go back down the left column again, you can see there's some pictures here that's not of Mo. Well, there's an X right there. All you need to do is click that X, and that picture's gone. Let's say that we get another picture. We want to put in we often get new pictures of dogs that we've had in our care for a while. Right here, if you click on this button, it says add more images. If you just click on it, it'll bring you up to another window where you actually just drag and drop the pictures that you have on your computer into that folder, and poof, it'll appear here. The simplicity of this website is that anything you want to be changed is right there where your mouse is. So brief description of the dog. limited to 20 words. If I want to change what's in here, all I do is click and start typing. Scroll down, a full description of the dog. I can enter more information. I could type in the entire bio that we're going to see on the website. Do we want to show the fee? If Mo's adoption fee is $100, do we want that on our website? Or do we not? Do we want to hide the dog on the website? This is where it's going to be very important for us to pay attention to if a dog comes in and he has an ID number. Do we want to show him on the website yet? Probably not. Do we want to show the puppies on the website? Probably not. But his information and his profile exists in the computer. So we still want to know that there's a dog in our rescue and there's a dog available, but we don't want him seen on the website. So this should help the communication between Carolyn, Suzette, and Morgan to where if they want the dog on the website, Suzette and Carolyn are now in control of that. They just have to go to this dog and click. Yep, let's add him to the website. Everybody following so far?
Yeah.
Okay. On this dog's profile, you saw his history. I'm also going to go to the people. If you go to the people of this dog, it'll show you what people have adopted him. I'm sorry, not adopted. If he was adopted and brought back, it will also show you if who fostered him. So if he went from one foster to another foster to another foster, his entire history of who was in the care of this dog will be shown. The dog's routine. This is everything that we may or may not want to know about the dog. Where does this information come from? We now have the OS form and the AIR form. And remember, the AIR form was the former R form that was too hard to say. So when they fill out an agency intake request or an OS, all of the answers that they put into that questionnaire show up right here. So instead of us having to go back and look at form fields and look at their application, you now go to this website and everything that you want to know that was on that application is here. So if Carolyn wants to know what type of food is the dog eating, she doesn't have to pull up the OS form. She can now just click on this dog's profile and anything and everything she wants to know about the dog will be seen here. Now, oftentimes people get the form and they don't fill out every answer, such as how often is the dog bathed? Well, we as a team need to decide, do we even want that question? Do we want our people that are surrendering the dog to tell us how often is the dog bathed? If we don't, then that person filling out the form won't see that question. But we'll see the question. We will always see every question. But if we don't want them to answer it, we just don't ask them. Down here, if we change that, let's say that during the course of a person who wants to adopt decides that they want a dog who, sorry, I'm going off track there. Let me just get back to a dog profile. So remember I said there's only two things in this database that's important. It's either a dog or it's a person. Right now we're discussing the dog. What does dog use for a bed? Let's assume during the discussion of intake that Debbie finds out that this dog doesn't sleep on sofa, chair, furniture, not a dog bed, and not a human bed. You actually just click these X's right here and change it to what he does sleep. Where does he sleep? And it's an automatic drop down. So you can select crate, dog bed, human bed, or other. And if you click other, you can type in the words outside. See how it did not find that as a possible answer? So we cannot use the word outside. We can click other, and then does outside work? Nope. So this is an example of you can only use the answers that's given to you as an option. And outside is not an option. You can select other, and then during the phone call, right here, see where it says please describe? That's where I was mistaken. When you select other, you can see down here where your cursor's flashing. That is where you would type dog sleeps outside. So in the field, if there's options, it'll let you choose the options. Most every field has an other, and when you select that other, it usually pops up another section for them to tell us more information about the quote other. So you saw how easy it was for me to change that. This is where we can change what they submitted on the form right away. Let me show you what a person looks. Oh, let me keep on the dog, sorry. Here's the disposition of the dog. Training, does the dog know sit, stay, down? What does he know? If you want to click all of these off because something has changed or you want to see what options are available, here's all the available options that we could click for this dog. Sit, stay, down, all of these options. You can click on more than one. There's down, click in the field again, stay, click in the field again. All the options are there for you. Over here, is this a one-person dog? Yes, no, sometimes, or I haven't even tested this dog. We don't know, it's an unknown, basically unknown. Scrolling down, you can see all the information that we can ask the person surrendering the dog to us. We will go through each of these questions later when I work with each of you on the report of what you want to see and what you think is good for the end user, the person that wants to adopt, foster, or volunteer, to see what questions you want to know. If you don't want to know and it's not important to you, then we're not going to show it to them. So I can scroll down for a long time with all of these questions. Let's scroll back up to the top again. Here's the medical. Suzette, here's your fun stuff. Is the dog microchipped? Yes, no, or don't know. That could be a lot of the strays. Who's the company and what's the microchip number? So let's say that we find out we mistyped the microchip number. All you do is put your cursor in there and you type in the new number. And it stays. Does the dog have a tattoo? That's going to be more or less related to the spay and neuter tattoos. I don't think we're going to use this question because I don't think it's important to us whether or not the dog has a tattoo in regards to rehabilitating, rehoming, and adopting him out. It's more for a description. And I think him being a Cocker Spaniel with the picture, along with what color the dog is enough to identify him. Under veterinarian, this is going to be the veterinarian that we use. So there's two different fields for veterinarian. There's the veterinarian that the dog came from, the owner's veterinarian, or there's the veterinarian that we're using while he's in our rescue. Lori, is this section right here the owner's veterinarian or the rescue's veterinarian?
This is the rescue. The owner's is in the history area.
Okay, got it. So Suzette, if you wanted to, you could put what vet this dog is seeing, one of our partners. And Michelle, you could go in here and you could put the name, the phone number, and the contact information of the vet in Emporia. Or Barb, you can put Dr. Stoll in there so that when anytime anybody goes in to see who's taking care of this foster dog, we know what vet he's currently being seen by. Here's the medical. Anything current, any problems? Suzette, right here, you would click add another condition. You don't have to click another screen. You don't have to go anywhere else. You just click right here and you can enter, put your cursor there and you can enter whatever you want there. I put my cursor here and a pop-up did not appear with answers that I could select from. That means you can type whatever you want. Here's the past. If we get history of the dog that says he was run over by a car and had a broken leg, but it's been repaired, you can type that in here. Some of this, again, if it will come from the OS or the air form. But if talking to them, we find out that they didn't tell us about his past, because we know that never happens. We never heard about a dog in the past or a dog whose previous life had a broken bone. You find that out, you can type that in here. Now there's different types of status. This dog status is pertaining exactly to what it says. Is the dog spayed or neutered? Dental. Did he have a dental while in our care? Did he have a dental when did he come to us having a dental? Maybe the shelter gave him a dental just before he arrived to us. You can also add all of the the prescriptions and the medicines that you give him, Suzette, and also the fosters. The fosters will also have the ability to go in and update this chart also, if you want them to.
That's
if you
good.
want to manage the control of it, you can. Maybe it'll depend on the foster. I think the ones that you know that will be dedicated to updating this, they can do it. If you think that they're not going to be vigilant about doing that, then you can go ahead and sign it in. Log it for them. Add another allergy. Again, type in whatever you want. Here's the fun stuff. Next date, last date. This is where you'd enter all of your information, Suzette. And the result of the heartworm test, was it positive or negative? Everything's the last date and when is it due. Okay, I'm going to scroll up to the very top again, and now we're going to go to documents. This is fun, guys. We can upload documents for days and hours and hours. This is where it says add files or upload folder. What we can actually do is go to the dogs that we have in our care now, go to their dog folders that we have on the Google Drive, and actually upload their entire folder to this website. Now it's going to store that folder in our Google Drive, but it's going to be a different spot. But we don't need to get to that spot on the Google Drive anymore, because if we want to see those documents, they're right here. All we have to do is go here and we're going to see all the documents. So let me click on.
Is that where they'll be filed? Is that where they'll be filed into when records arrive also? Will that change how they're filed?
Yep. So you go into here and you'll go to add files. Let me just find a file to add. Let me go to, here's McGruff's OS. I can either click it and add it, or I can just click and drag it over. So I took it out of my computer. I'm going to put it here and let go.
So is it still in your computer though? Does it remain in your desktop? You just copy it in there.
Exactly, yes. Okay. So right here it says uploading to server. You can see it making a little circle. It's hard to see on the screens possibly, but it's making a little circle going round and round, updating this document to this dogs folder. So it's still a dogs folder, but instead of it being on the Google Drive and us having to go to Google to get it, we'll be able to see it right here. So while this is working, I'm going to go over to contract. Now says contract. This is where the person basically is saying, yes, this dog is mine. Yes, I know I'm giving this dog to you. I'm not going to come back and get the dog. I know that it's going to become yours. And they click yes. So again, this came in from their surrender form or the AIR form. Contract. Although it says donation, we're going to see if we can change that, because when they pay for the dog, we know it's not a donation. They're actually just paying the adoption fee. So until we get that word changed, just know that it's under contract, and it really means, did they pay for the dog? If they paid, we enter the amount. So this is what Carolyn or maybe Lisa would be doing. They would actually say, yep, we got the contract. Yes, they paid it. How much they paid it, and how did they pay it? Clicked on the words and it came up, how did they pay? We can also have the fosters or the person doing the adoption go in and fill this out. That's a process we're going to have to figure out, who do we actually want entering this information. Here's the benefit of using this. Not today, but very soon, when Lisa or any of us gets a payment for a dog and it's put into this website, we can have it automatically go to Lisa into her financial system, and she doesn't have to enter it again. So Lisa, what I'm saying is that we're going to have a QuickBooks link in here.
That'd be great, thank you.
So if you just do it here in one place, it'll automatically go to her, to our financial database. Now here's notes. Told you guys yesterday that, or last week, that when we write a note, it'll be in there. It'll stay in there. It'll never change. So, and we'll never lose it. Here's a note that someone put in, very sweet, it's very sweet and matted, on August 20th. Here is another note. I go up here and click Add Note, and now it's in the system. You can see my notes there and the previous notes there. So let's say that we have a person who, let's see, this is a dog. So this is where I got to get, I'm confused. I need your guys' help to keep me straight too. We're only talking about the dog. So we don't want to put in here that Gail Rafferty volunteered at an event last week. That's not a dog situation, that's a person situation. Let's go back to the documents. We go to documents, it says it's still uploading to server. We'll see if that's a delay on my end. But what you would see down here is the list of all the documents with that dog. So if you wanted to see the medical record, if you wanted to see his vaccination report, if you want to see the vaccination certificate and the health certificate that we got when the dog arrived, you'll be able to see all of that. But instead of going to the Google Drive, it'll be right here attached to this dog.
I have a question, Audra.
Yes, go ahead.
The last screen you were on, not this one, but the previous one, was that notes?
Yep.
Okay, now you added a new note, but the date did not change. In real life, will that date change?
Yes,
So
it
it shows that the last, okay.
Yep.
I just
Yep.
wondered because that way we know what was the most recent note.
Yes, and the most recent will always be on top.
Okay.
But the date is just a fluke right now.
Okay.
It's just one of those other errors that we just have to.
That was actually because that note was begun on the 21st, and this is a demo site. So if you go ahead and add one now, I think it should be fine.
Okay.
Go ahead and submit.
That was the only thing I had right now.
Okay. So yeah, that's good that you caught that. I may be doing it wrong, but that's a good thing that you caught it.
We'll make sure that it's working properly because that's kind of odd.
Yeah, and keep in mind this is the demo site, so this is the site where actually quite a few of us have gone in and made changes and goofed things up to try to break it to make sure that it was working right, and it doesn't get updated the way it should. But that's something that we use for testing, and that's why we give demos like this to you guys. Now, I do want to let you guys know that we're going to be doing a lot of testing of this software. And we need to know if it's broken, if it didn't work, if what you thought it was supposed to do, it didn't do, because you guys are going to be the ones trying out all the new stuff that we put into this software before we send it out to all the other rescues. So you guys get to be first in line to try it, to get frustrated, to throw your computer against the wall, and then call me and tell me it didn't work. Oh, you guys are all on silent, so I didn't hear any of you laughing. Cool. Okay, so let's go to people now. Okay, people. So we talked about dogs and the information you can see, what we can change, and how to change it. Adopters. Let's go to adopters. Yeah, just leave. So here's a list of adopters. And Carolyn, you're going to have a list that looks just like this. And you're going to see what city and state they're in, the status of their application. Let me get a drink of water, guys. Hang on. Carolyn, we've made this so much easier for you.
Okay.
When they come in, the current status is they've submitted their application. That doesn't mean that they've been approved or anything. So just like what you did on your IFA, you had the first column that mattered was, did you talk to them on the phone? The next column was, did you do a reference check? Did you do a home check? And then what status were they? And did you send them the email? So let's go to Abe Lincoln. We could go to Babe Ruth, but I'm hungry, so I don't want to go there. So we're at Abe Lincoln. The person is 75 years old. Person's name is Lori. Email, all the information. Again, this is going to get put on this screen by them submitting the application. Are they employed? Are they in school? How did you hear about us? And if you heard about us from a shelter or a rescue or a friend, we're going to ask you what that was. So if you go to here, how did you hear about us? Again, a pop-up comes up and it tells you what options you have. There's also a scroll bar on the right-hand side. So realize you may not just see, you may not see all of your options on the screen. You'll have other options also if you scroll down using the scroll bar. So maybe they saw us from the internet. Okay. Again, any changes you make, you want to make sure you save before you get out of this screen, or all the work that you did will not be saved. I'm hoping Suzette's hearing me. All the work that you've done will go to waste if you don't click save.
God, I'm scared enough.
Oh, you're going to do great. So, Carolyn, here comes the fun part. It came in, it was initial form approval. Are you going to approve or deny them? If you deny them, you're going to put in a reason. If you approve, I think you can also put in a reason. Can you type here? Okay. You don't have to put a reason, but if you deny, we do want to see a reason. Because if they ever contact us back, or let's say you're out of town or on vacation, we can look at that person's application and we can say, oh, sorry, no, you've been denied for this reason. So we no longer have to dig into your knowledge base and your notebooks to find out why they were denied. You finally get to put everything that you have in your head and your notebooks into this computer so that we all have the same knowledge, and we can help you with your job if they have a general question to ask us. Okay. We're still working through the initial form approval. Update the process. Lori, I'm lost here on how I get to the next part of the process.
Yeah, don't click deny. Let me jump in here if you don't.
Okay. No, go ahead.
Hold on just a moment. And I apologize, I just moved my dogs, so if it gets loud, I will mute myself quickly and run them out of the room. So, you should see my screen on the dashboard now. And I'm going to go into adopters. And
can I ask, can that be made any bigger? It's so tiny to even watch what you're doing.
On the screen, we can't, Suzette. It's based on your computer screen
right.
itself.
But on your computer screen up at the top, there is a percentage. It might say 67% or something like that. And you can click on that and make it larger.
Oh, I just clicked full screen. Okay, I was just afraid to push anything. I didn't want to get kicked out. Okay. Okay.
That better?
Thank you. Uh-huh.
Okay. So one of the things that I should note, just because we see this, if somebody is in one of these records, that's what we call these, then you'll see that that person is in it, and therefore you cannot edit it. So that keeps you from stepping on each other's toes. So she's in Abe Lincoln. I'm going to go into Babe Ruth. And so I can see his high-level information here. We are going to do the initial approval. We're going to give a reason. And we're going to update the process. And we made this a two-step process so that if you inadvertently update and approve him, and then you go, oh, wait a minute, no, I really didn't want that to happen, you have not sent him an email yet. So, so now I want to send the email, and this pre-written text shows up, and everything within the curly brackets will pull in Rocky Mountain Cocker Rescue, or whatever information is there. So we'll go ahead and we'll send that now, and let me just look here, okay. So we'll send it now. And then if you'll bear with me for a moment. Hold on just a second.
So what we've done, Carolyn, is we've taken all of your steps and put them into this website. So if you contact them and you approve them through the first phone call, that's the initial submission, you approve them, and then you you can send them an email that says, yes, we've done through step 1, now we're going to do step 2, 3, and 4, or you don't have to send them an email.
Right.
Okay,
And
that's what part is that one called? That's the first step, which is
right. So what happens is it's a 3-step process in our software. It's the initial form approval, the home visit, and then the final approval. And as we know, I wrote the word reason in the reason area. And so when I come here, you can see what the other person wrote for a reason. And you can see if and when they sent an email and who did it and when. The Babe Ruth in this instance will get an email that looks like this, but it'll have the Rocky Mountain Cocker branding on it. And this is the text that we have in there. So then we can do the same thing for the home visit. We can update the process. We can send an email if we want to. And then we can also give the final approval, or we can do a denial. Now, up till this point, if we look at the dogs, and bear with me for a moment here. So right now, there is nowhere in Beirut's profile that you can see anything about a dog. There is nothing. And if we come back here and we go to our dogs, we'll see on Baxter, who is an available dog, there is nothing in his profile that shows when we click on people, Baxter doesn't have any people yet. It's blank. So once the potential adopter has final approval, then every dog in the available and recovery room categories shows up. So there they are. So I know Baxter is available. Now, right now, Baxter does not have a person. So I can adopt out Baxter. And now you're going to see Baxter is on Babe Ruth's timeline. We have a new family member. We can see the date and who did it. And now if we go, we can click on Baxter's profile. And when we go to his profile, we can see that he was adopted by Babe Ruth. And we see where he is. We have Babe's phone number and his email address in case we need to get in contact with him. We can see the date that he got adopted. This is exactly the same process that we use for fosters. So let's say that Babe and Baxter didn't get along. One thing to note, Baxter is now in the Happy Tails category. So when we go on the front end of the website where everybody else can see, and we go to the dogs, and we go to available dogs, we will not find Baxter, but we will find him in Happy Tails. So you no longer have to manually move him. He'll show up here. Going back here for a minute, let's say this did not work out very well. Let me refresh this. Here we are. So I clicked a button here that says return to rescue. I put him back as available. This didn't work. I returned him, and now we're going to see that Baxter's category went from Happy Tails to available in just a moment. So now he's available, and when we go on the front end of the website and we go to available dogs, we'll find him there as well.
So this is how the link between a person and a dog happens. We have to make it happen, but you don't have to click 73 buttons to get him there.
Right. So now we know on Baxter's timeline, on the 17th, he came back, and this is why. And when we go to Babe's timeline, will see that he no longer has Baxter. And we have the date and who did it. And you can, once the person has an approval, you can add as many dogs as you want. So if it's bonded killers, things like that. And when we come back to the adopters, we can see in the adopted category, Babe Ruth. Okay? He doesn't show any dogs because he currently no longer has Baxter, but he did adopt, so therefore he's in this category. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I know we're going through this pretty quick, but I just wanted you guys to see how it's very similar to the processes we use now. But instead of us telling Morgan, hey, can you go take this dog off the website? Once you click that he's been adopted, all of that stuff happens automatically.
I have a question again, and I may be jumping the gun. Tell me if I am. Let's say Joe Bob, whoever it was that adopted the Baxter or Babe, whichever it was, does it again. And we're saying, okay, this name's familiar. Is there a way to search out a specific adopter for whatever reason?
Yes, you'll be able to do that in the reporting area. And if you'll bear with me, I'll pull up another site and I can show that to you.
Okay, well, I don't want to get you guys out of order. I mean, that obviously, if that's part of a report, then we are going to learn that.
Yep.
Yes, the reporting piece is very large. And what we wanted to do is show you that on another call so that you don't have complete overload tonight. And the reports will be filled with the data from your rescue, so they'll make a lot more sense to you. So we kind of need you to
Okay, thank you.
put information in, and then we can show it to you in the reporting area.
Thank you.
So as you guys see down the left column there, that is where you will be able to see everything that you guys can do on the website. Now, all of you guys will have rights to see all of the dogs and all of the people. The volunteers who help Carolyn do reference checks, they don't need to see any dog information or enter any dog information, I mean. So they're only going to be able to see the people. So Carolyn, what you'll do is when you have somebody working on the reference, you can go into the notes section and you can say, I've assigned this to John Smith. And then John Smith, when he's done, John Smith can go into the website and add a note that says, I did this person's reference check and I also did their home check and here's what I have to say about it.
Okay.
Can you go back to that process, Lori, where when she says that they've done their home check, how important it is for the person to click update process so that Carolyn knows that that's been done and she can go on to step number 3.
So here we have, these people have had their initial approval. And so if we come in here, we can see that on August 22nd, I did the initial approval. And I did not send an email and I did not provide a reason. So they have to come in here and click approve or deny, and then they'll update the process. If they don't do that and they go somewhere else, without putting update process button, nothing happens. So you have to click update process.
So that'll be very important for the training on your part and your volunteers' parts, Carolyn.
Where are the notes?
See if it's done because, I'm sorry.
Were you talking about, would your notes saying she assigned the references or she assigned something to someone? Where are the notes that she would type that in?
So did you see at the top there? There's a row next to the word Save Adopter.
So
So you see timeline, family, home, care, preferences. They would go to notes and add the note.
Okay.
They would simply click here. And this is significantly slower because my computer's kind of out of gas and we're on a GoToMeeting, so it's not going to be this slow when you're doing it. So, hold on just a sec because my computer is super slow right now. So there's the note that I wrote.
Now, you guys, you will see for fosters and adopters that we do not have references. References were checked. We're going to try and add that in later because a lot of rescues do check references and some don't. Right now, what we're going to do is have that first one, that first option of the process that says initial process reviewed, whether it was approved or not. Carolyn, you're not going to click that until after the references are done, and then we moved forward.
Okay.
So most of the time you do a call with that person, and then if everything's a go, you keep going and you do the references. In the notes that your people will put, they'll put the notes in there, and then you can go in and see, oh, I want to see the status of this person. You click on that person's name, you review the notes, and that'll tell you whether or not Joe Smith check the references and what his report back was. If the references are good, then you approve those references, and then you can go to the home check portion.
Okay.
It might sound difficult now and a little confusing, but once you do one or two, you're going to find it to be very easy.
Okay.
Okay. Now you can do a home check before the references, but you can't click approve the home check until all the references are done and you've done your initial call. So that's where you would need to put it in the notes.
Okay.
And the notes will always be there. So if John Smith did a reference check on Monday and Susie Q did the reference check on Thursday, you can go in later and look to see that their notes were there that they had typed previously to what you had done. Cannot delete a note out of the system. It'll always be there. It can be deleted, but that takes admin rights and things like that. So there's no more erasing what we had in Excel to make more room to put in a new note. I'm going to open it up for any questions at all based on what you guys have seen so far. Okay. Lori, since you've got the screen, can you show us what a application looks like, please?
Application.
Maybe the surrender form or a person application, either one.
Okay. On the front end or the back end?
Front end, please.
I'll tell you both. So an adoption application is very thorough, we think, but we designed it to be very airy and light looking so that it was not overwhelming to the person who is filling it out. So this is what it's going to look like. 5 tabs, and almost all fields are mandatory. So I'll go ahead here. That's a lie. So there's that. On the phone numbers, the only one that we make mandatory is the cell phone. So I'm not in school, I'm not employed. I adopted from the rescue before. If I say that I heard about it from a friend, we want to know who. If it's a shelter, we want to know the shelter. And if it's another rescue, we want to know the other rescue. When we talk about the application, we have one applicant. Then that applicant can put as many other adults in the home on the application as makes sense. We ask the same information from an adult that we do from the applicant. From the children, we just want the name, the age, gender, and their experience with dogs. When we're talking about dogs, we ask quite a bit of information. And you can add as many people and as many dogs and as many pets as you want. So we want to know if they're spayed or neutered, what their gender is, their age range. These age ranges correlate with the age ranges of our dogs, the temperament, and then any additional information they might want to add. Other pets in the home. We have these animal types, and the only thing we want to know about these animals is where do they sleep.
So what you guys just saw was Lori looking at the second tab of an application where we want to know information about the family.
Correct.
And we want to know their names and ages of the children and of the adults. But instead of us having, the primary applicant and then either their spouse, they're not going to add the spouse until they get to the second tab.
Correct. So we add this information if they have it. Then we want to know the type of residence. We have quite a bit. If they own, then we don't ask any other questions. If they rent, then we want to know this information about their landlord.
So I want to point that out. Did you guys see what happened? We didn't ask any other questions unless they answered the question where we want to know more information.
And that keeps it really simple for them so that they don't get overwhelmed and they're not looking at questions that don't pertain to them. So, I own. Do I have a yard? If I have a yard, then we want to know if it's fenced. If it's not fenced, then we don't ask any more questions. If I don't have a yard, then we don't see questions. But in this case, we're going to say I have a yard and it's fenced. Now we want to know about the fence. How high is it? What's the lowest point? Because sometimes that's different than what they say, how high is it? What material? Is the lawn treated? If I have a pool, then is the pool fenced? Now we're talking about the care of the animal. So we want to know if everybody has a dog. If not, then we want to know who doesn't. Have you ever had a dog before? If yes, then we want to know the breed and whether or not it was necessary to give the dog away. If it was, then we want to know why. So we're going to say I didn't have a dog, which is another lie. Am I capable of providing timely health care? If yes, no question. If no, what are the circumstances? Feeding and exercise, who's going to be responsible? Are you going to walk the dog? Then who's going to be responsible? If not, then what are you going to do to exercise the dog? Where will the dog sleep? Where will the dog be when it's alone? Do I have a doggy door? Is it locked? How long will the dog be by itself? Who's going to take care of it? Now, what can I tolerate and what am I willing to work on? So for every one of these, we have the same option.
Now, although she's doing adopter, a lot of this is the same for fosters too.
Yes, yes, they're almost identical. Here is my references. I'm going to do my own reference. I've been acquainted for a little while now. Here too, if I say yes to any of these questions, I have more questions. If I say no, nothing happens. But if I say yes, I want to know the vet's name and the phone number. Same thing for a trainer and for the groomer and the kennel. But to be fast, we're going to say no.
So this also enables them for visual purposes, everyone, that they don't have to look at this big, long web page that we had before where we asked 75 questions and it looked long. They're only going to see, 10 or 15 questions at a time.
So in this instance, I didn't fill this out, so therefore it prompted me, hey dummy, get back here. So lastly, we want to know why they want to adopt and what their preferences are. So, kind of cranky. And then some things that they might consider. And all of these are yes, no, and possibly.
So Debbie and Carolyn, this is where you guys will go through and say, hey, I have a dog that is not good with children or is afraid of children. You can generate a report that says, hey, I want to see all the preferences of what I want a list of fosters who cannot take a dog that's good with children or not good with children. Now, if the person submitting this form didn't answer that question, although it's required, they may have selected an answer that they decided, oh yeah, I didn't really mean that. I meant that I would take a female over a male, that I really don't have a gender preference. All you need to do is go into their profile like Lori's doing now and change it from I don't have a preference of a gender.
So do you have a preferred dog? This is always going to pull in all of the dogs that are available. And then they have to agree to your terms and conditions. They submit the application. You will get an email. They will get a notification. And now when we look in the back end of the website and we look submitted, we will see this person. So here it is. And we can see who their preferred dog is. This profile is a little bit easier for you to look through, so I'll open it up. So we know that he submitted the application here. We see his family, all of his information here, his family information here. So there's the other adult, the children, the dogs, and the other pets. And then,
so what happens is when you guys go to the person's card, person's profile, remember we have dogs or we have people, you're looking at this people, you can see how nice these cards are that tells you who else is in the home. And it gives you all a little bit of information about each of those other people in their home. Right. Also the other dogs in their home, whether they have birds or not. So this is a more visually pleasing page for you guys to look at without having to actually just look at squares and Excel sheets.
And then we have the home care and preferences. Now, when we look at this, this is exactly what we filled out in the front end. Does a landlord allow dogs? How high is the fence? Down here, we have a section for the home visit. And this, for those of you who may want to, works absolutely perfectly on a phone. So you could open up your phone at a home visit and make your notes, if you want to. If not, you could put them on a piece of paper and enter it later, or you don't have to enter this. That would be an internal decision that you guys would make.
So our process, what we're going to do is, because we have to have our potential fosters sign the home check form.
Okay.
What we're going to do is we're going to have them fill out the form still. But when they send it to Carolyn and say, here, I've done the home check, Carolyn, you can now go to the documents of that person and just put it in there.
Right.
So their home check form is in there. The only step you have to do after that is going through the timeline, the process, and saying, yes, their home check was done and now it's approved.
Right.
And keep in mind that every time you click on update process, you can, or you may or may not want to send an email to that person. So we're going to improve the way that we communicate with our potential adopters and fosters. Hey, I know that they're working on my application because I got an email that said that they finished step 2, now they're going to go to step 3. And I just got an email that says, hey, my adoption's approved. I just got an email that said my whole process is approved. Guess what? We don't have to contact the potential adopter or foster anymore. They got an email telling them. Where it's going to benefit us is we need to make sure that in that email we tell them, now that you've been approved, here is what we expect from you. We expect you to go to the website and look for some dogs. We expect you to click on this link and go to the pre-adoption packet. This is the phone number to call if you find a dog on our website. If you find a dog on Craigslist or Facebook or somewhere else and you want our help to help you get that dog, this is what you'll do. So we're going to better communicate with the end user so that they are right along with us when you're filling out their process of approval. And that, again, that goes for both adopters and fosters.
So this is where the care information comes in and the preferences. And a preferred dog, if they have it, would be here.
Now, preferred dog works both ways. If it's a foster who says, oh yeah, I'm going to foster Bay, we have Bay on our website as being foster home needed. So Bay will show up there as an option to select. So if it's a new foster who says, I'm willing to foster this dog, Debbie will immediately get an email that says, hey, an application just came in. She goes to check it and she'll see that they're willing to foster Bay. Or an adopter says, I'm interested in Susie Q. So it's very similar to the process we have now. It's just going to be a different way of looking at it. We're still going to want to know what dog they want to adopt. We're still going to want to know what dog they want to look at or they're interested in. But instead of them entering the name, they're going to select the name of the dogs that we currently have available for them to click on.
And just to clarify, that is true for the adopters. We do not have this field in the fosters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just want to make
Okay.
We are going to be building out an entire foster piece that will give you a lot of functionality, but I want to actually talk to you about it more before we do it. So, but this is true for the adopter. And then any available dog, we can give you a report of any available or recovery room dog that needs a foster. So, and that would be housed under the reports here. So you'll easily be able to figure out which dogs need fosters.
So there's the high level view of what we're going to see as administrators of the people and the dogs. What we're getting ready to do now is upload the dogs that we have currently in our system and available, because we don't want to go to this new website without having any dogs available. And we don't want to go to this new website without having any adopters and fosters in there. So what we're getting ready to do now is add the dogs that we currently have available, add the fosters and add the adopters that are still looking for dogs or interested in helping us or are actively fosters, like Debbie Cole and Peggy Cook. Peggy Cook, Emmy Shook. We'll put some of those people in there that are already approved fosters. Once we get that data in here, I think we're ready to switch websites. Then we'll start using this process. What I'd like to do is, after we get all the data in there, is have you guys switch to using this website for all of your process flow, looking at your reports. If an adoption application comes in, they're now going to use this new form, this new way of filling out that they want to adopt. And we're going to start using this new process through the website. Now, that doesn't mean that our new website is out to the public yet. I want to give you guys some time to actually use the new website before we make it live. So I'm thinking probably by next weekend, we should be using the new website and a couple days later, we'll put it out there as the brand new website. What you saw tonight was everything that we can see on quote what's called the back end. That means you guys are doing things behind the scenes so that the other people in the world can see the front end. Lori, can you go to the front end, please, and show our website? Now, although this looks, I mean, there's a cocker in a rocket, that is just there temporarily. We're going to have our own banner there. We're going to have our own dogs, like I already showed you, on the website that are available for adoption. Lori, can you go through the what the other pages look like for the other dogs? Happy Tails and...
Yep.
So when a dog's been adopted, they're going to go to the Happy Tails Dogs page.
So the Happy Tails dog page sends people back to the available dogs page. And then this dog has been adopted. So one thing that I think we didn't show you, and just so you have the names right, we call this a dog card. And if you click on it, then you go to what we call the dog detail page. The dog detail page is exactly the same as what you see here in the back end. So I'll just show you quickly. This is the back end of the dog, and this is the front end. So it's the exact same data.
But do you see how it's more pleasing for our adopters and fosters to look at now? Look how great that looks.
So we make sure that we prominently display the application and the donation. And when we come to a Happy Tails dog, because that dog has already been adopted, we don't have all of that detail so as not to confuse the site visitor. And again, we push them back to the Happy Tails or the available dogs page. The same is true for the Rainbow Bridge dogs. So we have this.
So people that, you know, constantly ask, well, he was on the website, why isn't he there anymore? Well, they'll be able to find him somewhere else.
Exactly. And then
now, compassionate care program, as you guys saw in the back end, it was called recovery room. We don't have a recovery room. We're going to have a compassionate care program. Now, keep in mind, I said that this website's being developed for lots of rescues, not just for us. But see how easy it was for us to call it something else on the front end? The users are going to get to see compassionate care program. We have to remember in our minds when we're looking at it from the administrative point, it's actually called recovery room.
Cool.
So people are going to see that on the website. They're not the people that are looking at the website are going to see recovery room. They're not going to see compassionate care anymore.
No, they're going to see exactly what you see right here.
This is going to be for the public.
Okay, so the word recovery room is not going to be seen anywhere. That's confusing me.
It's going to be seen in the back of the website, right here. But if
because they don't have the word, because this website doesn't have the words compassionate care, is that why?
Our software uses a different term.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I got it.
So if you are in here, hold on just a moment.
So since we're trying to make this for multiple rescues, Suzette, some rescues might call it hospice care.
Yeah.
They can call it whatever they want to the public, but the team, the administrators and the people that actually work the website, which is all of you guys, you just need to know that hospice care or the CCP means recovery room. So right here on the left side, you can see this dashboard that she just showed you. On the left side, it has the status of the dogs.
So right now, Lucy, on the front end of your website, is a featured dog. Therefore, she's on the homepage, and she's on the featured available dogs page. Okay, so if I go to available dogs, Lucy. But what I'm going to do,
Yeah, I got that.
I'm going to make her a recovery room dog. I'm going to save her. And now when I go, after this stops moving, when I come here to compassionate care, even though I said she was in the recovery room, she's going to show up on your compassionate care.
Okay.
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 Oh, can you show them how easy it is to bond dogs with one another?
Yep. So we'll go here and we go, okay, Scout and Ziggy are a bonded pair. So I put both the dogs' profiles in, and when I get to the second dog, I can pick from a list of the available in recovery room dogs for him to be bonded with. So he's bonded with Ziggy now, and if we look here, we see nothing. But once I save them and I show that they're bonded, on the front end of the website, when I refresh the page, you will see that they each show that they are bonded with each other. So now when I go on Scout's page, I see that he's bonded with Ziggy, and I can easily switch to Ziggy's profile. Okay? And in the back end as well, now when I go to the dogs, I will see that they're bonded.
So in summary, what we kind of just learned is that we no longer have to enter the dogs into rescue groups or on our webpage. That is going to automatically happen when we get a surrender form or an error form. But they will never be posted until we take action on our end. But our process is going to need to include now is once Debbie has found them a home, a foster home, and the day that they arrive, she will need to go into that dog and give him an ID number that falls in line with our current ID system, which then puts him into our rescue by saying that we accepted him into the rescue. So an intake is going to be a very similar process to what we saw with foster and adoption, is just because he submitted a form doesn't mean we accepted the dog. We still have to go through that process of accepting the dog into the rescue, giving him an ID number. Then we'll decide who really wants to put him on the website. Is that going to be Suzette, or is it going to be Carolyn, or is it going to be a combination of the two? But he will not be on the website until we click that button that says post on website. Now, we will have soon the ability to say this dog needs a foster home. Our plans are to have him available, so he shows up on the available page, but he's going to have a banner that says he's available for foster home. So instead of us having a page of just dogs that need foster homes, they'll be on the available dogs page because one day they will be available. But right now he's only available for a foster home. So people that are looking for dogs to adopt will see that and say, oh, hey, look, I want this dog. Oh, he needs a foster home first. Well, maybe we can foster. So a lot of this is improving the process and improving communications and trying to get more people involved to want to adopt by looking at a friendlier website also. All right, we're going to end this pretty soon in the next 5 to 10 minutes. I want to go around the room and get your feedback on what you've seen or any questions that you have so far. I will schedule another conference call pretty soon where I will actually sit down, or not sit down, but go with you one-on-one and review your steps of the process, actually submit an application, and have you guys work through it and see what struggles you have or what problems you're coming across, so that we can either get it resolved on our side, or I can educate you on how to better use that side of the software for your use. So Barb, if you're still with us, Barb is our New Mexico branch manager. Barb, if you want to take yourself off of mute and give me any input that you have so far or anything you want to say, I'd be more than happy to hear it.
No, I think it's really awesome. I think, you know, it looks like it's a process, but once we get going, I mean, it's nice to have it all in one place. I don't have any problems with it.
Carolyn, I know it might be a little scary at first, but it's going to be so great for you.
Yeah, it is. You know, you just have to work through it, I'm sure. The application that the people have to fill out seems really, really long compared to what we have before, because we do have a lot of elderly people that try to fill out an application, and they have a problem with what we've got so far. And this just seems like it's really, really long. We'll just see how this goes, though.
Well, we're going to cut it back a lot, Carolyn. So keep in mind, what we showed you tonight is every single question possible. I'm going to work with you one-on-one, and we're going to go through every question, and you're going to say, nope, don't want that question. Nope, don't want that question.
Okay.
And we're going to get rid of a lot of them. Because again, a lot of people that are older and don't know technology, they don't want to fill out the application. Now, we do have the backup process where they can call any volunteer and we'll fill out the form for them online. But the more questions we ask that person online, the more we're going to be on the phone with them.
Yeah, right.
So we are going to get rid of a lot of those questions, such as, do they have a pool? You know what? Yeah. Would we ever turn anybody down that has a pool that doesn't have a fence?
No.
I mean, some of these questions we need to relate to a little bit of common sense on our end, but keep in mind, we're trying to get every question that any rescue would ever want to ask their applicant, and then we'll tailor it to what they really want to see.
Okay. You feeling my foot? Okay. You're a good boy. You like your mom. Yes.
Good boy, Barb. Good Barb. Good Barb.
Sorry.
So Carolyn, you're going to be one of the first ones I'm going to talk with, because we really want to get the people, because as soon as we go live, I think people are going to want to start adopting dogs, and they're going to start putting in the forms to adopt.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that the questions that we want to ask are the questions we want to see.
Okay.
Okay. Debbie, as part of the intake director and some of your involvement with transportation, which is another module we're going to be working on soon, I think you guys know that I could have added a lot of stuff to this website, and I could have just delayed us getting to it and delay it until I get everything we wanted in it. I just can't wait anymore. So we're going to start out slow, and then we'll add stuff to it later. So we do have intentions on adding transportation to it. So you can keep track of, this dog's going to be transported, the day he got transported, where he went to. You can basically put the transport form online now, create a report, and send that to the person who's going to do the transporting. And you won't have to enter that stuff on a spreadsheet anymore.
Okay. I don't put it on a spreadsheet. Well, I put it on the IFA, but anyway, I guess one of the questions I have, and we can think about it, but if we have a dog that needs a foster, and we make them available dogs with a note that says something about foster needed or whatever, and then we get a foster for them, then do they come off the available dogs? Because more than likely they're going to need some kind of medical treatment. They may or may not have other issues. So then are we going to, because you just said to make them available, a combination of Suzette and Carolyn was who were ready to post them. But if they were posted as an available dog needing a foster, now we have a foster, they come off the website until Suzette and Carolyn say, yep, they're really ready for adoption, and they can go back out there.
Yes, that's the process I would use. So we would still keep them as available, but at the very bottom of that dog page, of the dog profile, at the very bottom, you have the option to say post on the website or don't post on website. So we would just take them off of the website.
Okay.
Okay. So what Lori's doing now is going to the very bottom, and it's right above. Yep. Hide this dog on the website.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll make them available when we need a foster. If you, and that's after you, because it automatically goes to not post on website. The answer is automatically no. So when you need to find a foster, then you'll click it to no, don't hide the dog and put him on our website. Then when you find a foster, you can take him back off.
Okay.
And all of his details and everything stays there. It's not like we deleted him and have to add him again. We're just hiding him.
Okay.
Anything else come to mind?
Nope.
Okay. Linda, going to need your help with getting some of these dogs in here, getting some pictures added.
Yes, ma'am.
As you see there, I'm going to need some help with probably a little bit of helping Michelle with not only our process, but also using this new software. I think the biggest part that Michelle's going to need is, where do I do now? And this is where I talked to you earlier that, our processes are going to be the same. We're still going to go from intake and do they fill out this form or that form? And how do we do transport? Who helps with transport? She's going to need more help with the process than our actual website.
Right. And getting the dog. And now you're shooting for next weekend to have everything in there?
Yeah, and I've started with the dogs. I think what I'm going to need your help with is actually adding pictures of the dogs to the website.
Okay.
Okay. I'm working on getting all the dog names and their details and colors and age added, but I'm not going to do anything with the pictures. I'm going to have you do the pictures, which I think is going to be the better part anyway.
And that is perfectly fine. I do work tomorrow, Thursday and Friday morning, but I have everything else wide open. So whatever you need. I think it looks really cool, Audra. I'm really seeing now where you're saying everything is tied together. We won't have to do this. Once we do that, it'll take care of this. It's just, I'm impressed.
Well, thank you very much. A lot of this comes from Lori. As she started earlier, that I think you and Suzette did, that you guys missed, was I just added some of the ideas of the process flow and maybe some words here and there. But the actual design of it came from Lori. Why she and I didn't meet each other 5 years ago, we don't know.
Well, thank you, Lori.
My pleasure. If it helps you guys adopt out more dogs, count me in.
Okay, Michelle, you're next. First of all, welcome to our first call that we've ever had. You'll never, ever have another call like this again.
Thank you. Hey, I do agree with what you said, though, is the flow charting the process for me is probably going to be the thing I need the most help with, even though we modeled a lot of our processes after the way you guys do things and even adapted some of your forms. The website and the demo was just amazing. That's probably one of the most user-friendly demos I've ever seen.
Thank you,
Wow.
Lori's a good partner with me in this. So
yeah, I'm just amazed because I was expecting great difficulty because you know how I always joke about being a self-proclaimed technotard, and so I was really loving what I saw here. So
that's fabulous. When we built this, my dad was really sick and I was at my mom's house, my parents' house a lot. And I would sit at their kitchen table and I would swing my computer around and I would watch my dad's face or my mom's face. And if
cool.
They're in their late 70s at the time, and if they were completely confused, I was like, okay, we've got to start over. And if they looked like they enjoyed looking at it, I knew we had won. So that's how we designed this. Was for two 7-8-year-olds who didn't like computers.
okay, Suzette, last but not least.
Well, I think it's going to take work, like you said, working one-on-one with me, because where I found myself wandering was where do I put all this information that I now have on the IFA? Because like if I know I'm going to have vet orders to write for 5 dogs in the next 5 days, I have all that noted in red on the IFA, and I just need to scan and look for that red that says vet orders. How am I going to pull up stuff? Am I going to have to click on every single dog's name to see what I have to do? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Let me work with Lori on that and see if we can get something built a little sooner for that. I'm going to be honest with you. I forgot about your coding system of which dogs take priority, and which, not priority, but which dogs need to go to the vet and you need to take care of those.
Yeah, because I use the IFA and I may just need to still continue to do that for myself, because there's so many dogs, and even now with so many more vet clinics throughout, from wherever to wherever, I've really got to know who needs what and where they're going and when they have when their vet visits are, if their records have been received or not. And I don't see anything for that on here, so.
Yeah, and that's another part we need to work on. So, yeah,
Okay.
the other part that we need to work on, which is going to take a while, is our numbering system. Our numbering system of dogs is not the same as all other rescues. So that's why we have what's called an internal ID number. But if, say, we're on number 19080, how do we know that the next dog's going to be 19081? Where are we going to track that at? I'm going to guess it, Debbie's going to need to pull a report and say, okay, show me the last dog that came in, what was his ID number, and then put in the new ID number. Well, that's going to be the case. That's going to be the case for every rescue.
Mm-hmm.
So we somehow need to figure out how to plan to increment each dog one by one, that when they say click, he came into the rescue today, that it automatically creates the new ID number. That's a lot of coding, a lot of background stuff that, again, if we were to wait until Lori and I put everything we ever wanted to in this website, we'd never get it out there.
So when we go live to the new website, the IFA is just not going to all of a sudden be gone one day, is it?
It's going to still be there, but it's not, nobody should be using it. Now, when I say that,
well,
I mean, right, you can use it for your own needs, but understand that nobody else should be using it. We need to know if a dog needs to go to the vet or went to the vet, we should be looking at it on here.
Right. Okay, so as long as I'm able to get all that information off of there before it goes away, and I can make my own tracking system or something, that's all I'm concerned about.
Yes, the IFA will never, the IFA, the foster log, form fields, none of that at all will be going away until each director says, okay, I don't need it anymore.
Okay, because that's really my right hand, is those logs, Okay.
I'm not going to take anything away from you guys until you feel comfortable and you say, yep, I don't need that anymore. I can't believe we were ever using that. But it's going to take us a while to get there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the vet orders too is something you can go to the dog file and just upload as a document. So you don't have to create the file and then save it to your computer and then go to Google Drive and then put it there. You'll just save it to the dog's profile on the website.
And it won't go in the dog's file anymore. So those are the things I'm kind of have holes, but I'll get it. I'll get it. And then and for filing, like Jim's going to have to, maybe it sounds like learn something too. So.
Right. And Jim will have access to this. And probably what I might do, actually what I'll do is I'll show you, because I know you'll grasp that part really easy, and then you can show him and anybody else helping you.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see. What's really good about GoToMeeting is I can tell who's typing in the background really loud, and to let everybody know it was not me.
Oh, it was me. I forgot to mute.
Yep. I'm usually the one that gets told later, Audrey, you're typing so hard. So it's good to know I'm not the only guilty party. All right. Is there anything that anybody else has questions on? I open up the table for anything, anybody. Okay, I'm going to start scheduling meetings at your convenience, which means I'm going to look at your calendar and your work schedule, and with what I already know about other volunteering and your jobs and time that you guys don't want to be disturbed, I'm going to send you a calendar invite for 1 hour to meet with me, exactly what we did here. You're going to be on the computer, I'm going to be on the same computer, and I'm going to either watch you guys do it, or you're going to do it and I'm going to watch you. If the time that I send you is not convenient, all you need to do is reply with the time that is, and I will make myself available to you guys almost every minute that you guys are available to sit down for 1 hour and start doing this. Okay. Thank you, everybody. The actual meeting was, the actual going over the website was about an hour and a half long, so that's kind of better than I thought of the 2 hours that I was expecting. So I'm looking forward to this. I'm glad to hear that you guys like it. I'm glad to hear that you guys like what you see. We also will have the ability to print out what you guys saw for the card. So when the the public goes to look at a dog and they say, oh, I think I like this dog, we'll be able to have a button there for them to print out that dog. That's how we're going to start printing out our dog bios. And it looks so much cleaner and so much nicer than just a picture with a bunch of words on the page. If you guys see anything on here like what, oh, wow, it'd be really cool if we could do this, or, oh, it'd be really nice if we could do that, or we used to do that, how come we don't do it anymore? There's a link on our website that you guys will be able to submit. It says, hey, how come we don't do this, or how come we don't do that, or I need help. I don't understand how this works. And if I'm not available, you guys can submit that form and somebody will get back to you and get you guys the help that you need to work through this process and the system and using our new website. So you guys will not feel all alone. Okay, I'm gonna hang up the phone. Thank you everybody for joining. We only missed Suzette and, I'm sorry, not Suzette, Annette, Andrea and Karen. So I will be having another meeting with them. Tonight's meeting was recorded. So everything that we said, laughed at, didn't laugh at, will be heard again. I'm going to send the video to both Karen and Andrea and let them watch it themselves on their free time, and then we'll see what questions they have. And then we'll make any changes that we need to as we go along.